Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 1952 Southwest Dickinson Lane here in Portland. Sorry, that's Dickinson Lane. We're at the back of the house, right underneath the decking here. We have a 4-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Currently have water running. Here we go. Alrighty, unfortunately here I'm running out of camera cable. We've got 200 feet to work with, so I'm gonna have to try and find a secondary cleanout to go from. But we're gonna let the line drain out here for a few minutes so we can take a good look at it on the way back. It does look like we've got some standing water issues. Anyway, we'll try and get the rest of this scoped here. It's a very long line. Alright, the line is pretty much all drained out at this point here. There's a little bit trickling through. So we've got some standing water down here towards the latter end of the line here, or at least what we've scoped so far. I'll try and get every bit of it located and mapped out if I can. It's going through this like marshland here behind the house, so I'm not sure if there's any water down there to deal with, but I'll try and get it mapped out. In situations like these, when you have lines of this length, I tend to look at them more like a septic system than a standard gravity-fed sewer line. And the reason for that is once you go over about 110, 120 feet, the likelihood of getting bellies is extremely high. It's very difficult to try and keep that length of line in grade with trying to guarantee that the ground never shifts over that entire area. So far here, all drained out. The worst this water level has got, it's sitting right around a 1/4 inch there, which is quite minimal. The advantage this line has is it has 100+ feet of pipe at like a 45-degree angle shooting down the hill like a rocket. When you get an inch of standing water like we have here, this might even be more than that. Yeah, this is sitting more at about 2 inches of standing water. You can see how much more debris is collected in this area. And before we stirred the water up there was some fairly thick debris buildup. And the tricky part, being at the bottom of a big hill like that, where obviously a lot of water is draining into it because it looks like almost like a marsh down there. When you got a lot of water movement through the ground, it can be a very difficult thing you can correct it, but it may not stay that way. You just have a lot of water movement. So anyway, we're going to try and move to a different clean out here if possible. And we'll get that stuff mapped out. But the line is functioning. Bellies like that, on lines like this, I mean, just simply having a line that's 200-300 feet long, that alone will cause debris to build up, because it's a long way for a toilet flush, for instance, to push debris, rather than 40 or 50 feet to the street like a standard house would. So, that being said, I always recommend lines of this length, even if they're perfect, to rescope them in a year, because every household's living habits are different, and it's worth doing that. Make sure you don't have any debris buildup. But in situations like this, I am more tempted to recommend you scope the line a year. I would recommend it be hydrojetted to blast any debris that's in there currently out of the line. Because if the bellies remain, you're more than likely going to get some debris collecting. The big thing is to avoid putting grease and oil down the kitchen sink. That stuff is mostly what I'm seeing built up here in the line. I'm not seeing hardly any toilet paper or anything like that. And then avoiding things like paper towels and feminine hygiene products, wipes, stuff that shouldn't go down the sewer. But I recommend rescoping in a year to see what the line looks like, and that you can kind of get a baseline for how often this line needs to be cleaned out. Again, the advantage this one has is there's so much hillside here, getting that water moving at a high speed. It has a huge advantage over most lines this length. You just have fast-moving water throughout much of the first 120 feet or so of the line. So most of that is the reason why this has stayed clean. It's moving through there pretty quickly. But again, is a spot with that amount of water, it's much more likely to get debris buildup. You're going to have to come back here. It's just too muddy and sloppy out there. I need to get some boots on to go out into that stuff. So we're going to locate that clean out and get the rest of it scoped here another day.